Hey guys, welcome to Mosaic. This is a brand new episode that we definitely didn't record last week, and definitely not the same day that we recorded last week.
Not the same day.
You know,
noticed lights
because hey, look, we have a new person that's sitting here. I liked this shirt last week, so I thought I'd wear it again today.
Oh, your hat's backwards.
Well, hat's backwards. That's how you know. That's really how you know the difference. And so Daniel's over here, Ruth's over here on her phone clicking cookies.
I'm not.
And so she is addicted to her new app, and it's fantastic. Yeah. And so welcome back. Thank you for everyone who is in the live chat down there, because y'all are awesome. Y'all are here at 6 p.m. on Sundays.
down?
Because that's where the live chat is. You've
Down there,
obviously
you never
never
seen
been
it?
in the
No.
live chat.
On my live chat on my phone, it's always right here. I'm like, hey,
On your phone?
yeah. On
Do
my
you
phone?
watch on horizontal?
Yes. How do you watch yours? You're a vertical man.
The
You're
only
vertical.
way. Oh my gosh. I didn't know this about you,
What?
But you're vertical.
that you're a horizontal man.
Oh. I'm lost. What are we
This is
vertical?
like the Apple
Bruce
versus
doesn't
Android
even know where she
debate.
is right now.
Wrist like Team Edward.
He knows all about that.
That's why I wanted to bring it back up.
I sent you a
Inside
video
joke.
today. Did you get that? It said to prepare for his role for 14 years. It says, what's his name? He said to prepare for the role of Batman. He listened to people. Oh man, now I can't remember the joke now.
Talk about
Say,
Edward.
oh yeah, say that you were from that movie called Twilight, right? That's how he got ready for that role.
That's hilarious.
It
I
would
like
be
his
more hilarious if I
Batman.
remember.
I like his Batman. I don't like.
Nah.
Nah, we won't get into this.
Yeah, we need to.
we need to,
It's
but
the
we
first
won't.
30 minutes where we bull
I mean,
crap.
we do have time. You're right.
No, we shouldn't. You're right.
Who are y'all talking about?
Would be.
I don't know who y'all talking
The
about.
new Batman. You would know him as Edward from the
No, he
Twilight.
is Batman. There's no new Batman. He is Batman.
Wait a minute. You're telling me the guy that was the vampire is Batman?
Yes,
Yes.
and it's terrible.
It's not terrible.
I did not like it.
Why did you not like it?
Because, one, if I had to look at both of them side by side, Marvel has hope. DC is just so dark and grungy, even though I love Superman more than any other superhero.
But this is Batman.
Right.
Batman already has the dark, grungy.
dark.
Like, that's just.
Yes, no hope. Parents died. Everybody hates him. Can't stand it.
Who are you getting a call from? Is that Matt?
No.
That jerk?
Yeah, Matt doesn't talk to us
He
anymore.
canceled on us. We put out the God Squad episode. He said, no, I'm out. Never again.
Ruth, welcome to
You
the
need to
God
start
Squad.
acting more like Matt.
I mean, wait, Matt's right here. What am I talking about? We just recast and don't even bring it up.
Ruth's like, forget me. You can leave me out of that.
No.
Nope.
No.
All right. Well, cool.
That's cool, man.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Yeah, good episode.
All right.
Yes.
So what we're tackling today.
What are we tackling today? You are so ready to get started
I
on
know,
our plan.
I know.
Sounds like Daniel came prepared.
Daniel has a plan.
No, what are y'all talking about? I didn't have anything prepared.
Daniel has notes.
I don't have any notes.
He's got his phone.
Okay, then I'll jump right into it. All right.
I knew
So
you wouldn't be able to just sit in that.
today's episode is going to be about cancel culture. And that's it. Thank y'all for joining us because we just got canceled.
Oh, man.
All right, let's define it. What does cancel culture mean to you?
Cancel culture is a culture that cancels.
That's very good. Ruth,
Yeah,
what does cancel culture mean to you?
Same thing.
No, it's, I don't know, dude. I think here's my issue with it. There is no room for redemption whatsoever. It's like, it is cut them off. You essentially, we end people's stories, right? And like, we're saying, you've shown me who you are, and now there's nothing else. And there's no way to go back. And like, you will forever, in my mind, be this. And I don't agree with that. Because I think that, well, we're human beings. And it's like, we are, I mean, God's MO is messy people. David gets canceled. When does David get canceled? He probably would have gotten canceled at least 2 or 3 times in his life.
Yeah, when
For
he
sure,
murdered
Bathsheba.
his.
But like,
Bathsheba.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe even sooner. Like, maybe in the Saul era. Like, Saul probably would have canceled David
Yeah, he tried
by
to permanently
killing
cancel
him. Go ahead.
No, it's just like, yeah, he tried to kill him.
Yeah, and so like I think there would be like you literally wouldn't have King David then if cancel culture was alive back then. And so it's like God constantly is using people who have messed up royally, like not just small mess ups. These are major mess ups. And if God can sit there and say, I still have a plan for you, I still have love for you, I still have purpose for you, why are we sitting here saying like you can never be better than what you've already showed us?
Well,
And it's like everything kind of feels like it's tainted after that. Like, oh, you're just trying to cover up, or you're just trying to show or hide who you really are. Like that's what I feel like even when people come out of cancel culture, like if they've redeemed themselves, or like people who have been in the public eye that had to disappear for a while and then they rebuild and rebrand and come back.
you're talking people's perception, or you're talking the people themselves that got canceled?
I'm talking people's perception.
Okay.
I feel
Like
like
the public's perception
the
of
public's
somebody.
eye, yeah, the public's eye. I feel like they are sitting there going, "You're just trying to pretend this didn't happen."
Yeah.
But we know who you really are. Like there is no grace, there is no forgiveness, there is no love.
100% justice.
Is it justice though?
Yeah.
It's perceived justice.
I think it is justice.
Give me the definition of justice. Pull it up. Pull it up on your phone there.
Justice.
Can I say something real quick while Daniel's pulling that up on his phone? So I feel like what you're saying about cancel culture is not really what cancel culture is, but it's more the reaction to cancel culture, or what comes from cancel culture.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about this podcast, Sam, is that you do not tell anybody what we're going to talk about before.
Exactly.
And so this is all off the top of my head. And
Brand new for you.
brand new for me, and I have not thought about cancel culture, but I feel like cancel culture is a way to maybe, I don't know, it doesn't allow people to express themselves the way that they want to express themselves, and sometimes it's probably for the better, but you know, obviously there's a lot of judgment, like an underlying judgment from people that think that, you know, if you don't think the way that I think, then you're wrong. And the funny thing about trying to be different is that whenever you try to be different, you end up being the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my thing with cancel culture is, you know, whenever we look at, obviously social media is a driving portion of that. And if social media went away, cancel culture would go away because everything is so fast to be delivered in seconds at everyone's fingertips. And so if you make a mistake and say the wrong thing, even if you made a mistake 15 years ago, I mean, how many people have gotten canceled from a tweet 10, 15 years ago?
Yep.
And it's so crazy. You know, it's like we are constantly evolving as people every day. Like there's never a situation, because that's what we do as humans, is we evolve. And if you don't allow someone to evolve out of that, which I understand, like there are certain situations where cancel culture would probably be appropriate. You know, not to get into too many details, but there's probably situations where it would be appropriate. Racism, you know, might be a thing, abuse, things like that. But if you are now using cancel culture as a weapon to victimize people, and, you know, I think I love football. And so I think about, there's a quarterback, I'm not going to say his name, but he's a really good quarterback in the NFL. and he's really young. He's like 26, 27 right now, and he's one of the better players in the league. Well, as people, people get petty, right? And so as people get better at their craft, he beat a team in the playoffs recently, and so what did the other fan base do? They went out and victimized this guy, and they went and found tweets from 2008 or what, I don't know how long ago. It was a long time ago, and it was something that had kind of like an underlying racist tone to it, and they put it on Facebook, Twitter, social media, TikTok, everywhere they could, to try to paint this guy in a victim role. And it's like, what are you doing? This is crazy. Like 15 years ago, I was a completely different person. I'm sure he was a completely different person because we evolve as human beings. And so that's where I have a real problem with cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was a really long spiel.
No, that was
that's
actually
good.
excellent. Right. So, definition of justice.
Yes.
Just behavior or treatment, a quality of being fair and reasonable, a administration of the law or authority in maintaining this, the personification of justice, usually a blindfolded woman holding scales and a sword. Last one, a judge or a magistrate, in particular, a judge or Supreme Court of a country or state.
So it's the fair
Just
and reasonable,
behavior.
yeah,
Or treatment.
and like, because I wouldn't say cancel culture is fair and reasonable, because there is more times than not no coming back from it, and there's no room to love through a mistake. There's no room to love through a hard season of anyone's life. And it's like, if we take each other on our worst days and just say, that's it, I'm missing so much more of who you are, Daniel, than if I just say your bad day was a bad day. And I know for a fact, like, our relationship would not be anywhere near how impactful it's been the last year and a half if you didn't accept me as more than my worst days. And the fact that you're still here in my life, and the fact that you're still wanting to have a friendship, wanting to have, it's just, it's a thing that I feel we're very quick to kill them. And like, we put cancel, but it's not canceling. You're killing them. And that's what it's, at least that's what the behavior I see around it is.
I do see on that. I think I disagree on, like, when I think of justice, I think of, like, if you committed murder, justice says you have to pay the price. Justice in any situation says you have to pay the price for what it is.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful part about the God that we serve, is that he's fully just and he's fully merciful. Yeah. And so I see cancel culture as, are they reacting in justice? Yeah, because if somebody messed up or they did something, and I'm talking about the ones that really did mess up, not for somebody trying to find something petty or taking something out of context. That's a whole nother thing, and we'll get to that because I can't stand that. But I'm talking about if somebody really did screw up, justice says you should have their head, because that's what the law is, and that's what the Pharisees want. That's what all the keepers of law, if you follow the law to the letter, you get the law's results, which is justice, which is punishment. Yeah. But then we have this whole nother side called mercy, and then we have on top of that this whole nother side called grace that God also acts out of. And what he did is that as humans, I know we're going gospel here, but let's talk there and then go back into cancel culture, because you look at justice, God came in the form of a man and took justice upon himself and said, I will die in their place because you have to have a sacrifice. There has to be atonement. There has to be a perfect lamb that's going to be sacrificed for mankind because justice demands that. So God is fully just, but he's also fully merciful. So he takes his son, and then we have the whole story of the gospel, and then he rises again. And that's what we have as far as salvation. So when I look at, that's gospel thing compared to like cancel culture, but I look at cancel culture, are they just? I'm like, well, yeah, because that person did this and this, and yeah, the evidence is there. The person admits whatever it is or whatever. Okay, yeah, justice says you have to pay for it. But cancel culture has zero mercy, where they're like, okay, like you said, they had a bad day. They did screw up. They even admitted to screwing up. Okay, let's work our way back. But now we have a completely different people that say, I want to, either they've been through hardships themselves and they're like, I want to see justice acted out on this person because I never received justice for my person who did it to me, or I have to have some kind of retribution or some kind of finality to what I went through. So I'm going to take it all out on you and have zero mercy. What?
It's good. It's good. So I was going to say that, it's really funny that things get reworded because, okay, let's take it back to biblical times again, like the Pharisees with Jesus.
Yeah.
That was cancel culture. Technically, it's just reworded because,
Yeah.
Of course, on a much grander scale, like there's the pendulum swings, right, from left to right. And with cancel culture today, I feel like it's a lot different than back then because the Pharisees were trying to cancel Jesus by killing him. Okay, let's take it back to Sam.
Yeah.
And they did it because they thought that their reasoning was just, that Jesus was, anyways, he was
heretical.
like a false god or whatever. And so they were trying to cancel him by killing him.
Yeah.
Now, today, like that's a big deal. And obviously we know Jesus is God, but that was a common thing back then. Like people were always starting these cult-like groups that were trying to impersonate, God.
Yeah.
Being the Son of God. And so, like a cult leader today, right? But if we go to today's times, as far as cancel culture, like, dude, you could, like you're talking about, like you can go to Starbucks and yell at the barista because they did something wrong. Is that the right thing to do? Absolutely not. You should never do that. It's not right. But for someone to record that on video and then to completely like derail your life, lose your job, whatever. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. There's no grace there. There's no mercy or anything like that. So
I think it's because then you had somebody who worked at a Starbucks and they had somebody yell at them and they didn't get caught, and so they felt like they got away with it. So they take all of their anger out on one person, whoever that scapegoat is, and it's like, well, we're going to choose you now, instead of being a culture of yes, justice, but also love and mercy, and saying, okay, listen, we realize you made a mistake. Like I don't even know where that goes, because it's like, I don't know. It was like an incomplete thought. I was just flushing it out.
That's what we do here.
I think the one I always go back to is the woman caught in adultery, and they like fling her in front of Jesus, and it was the Pharisees. Like, this is what she was doing, and like it was justified because she was doing the sin. Yeah. And even then, God's like, the first one, without sin, cast the first stone. Yeah. And so it's like, and he could have done that. He could have picked up the stone and killed her. Like, he could have started it, and he didn't. He chose not to. And that was his reaction, was to love. And that is like just the picture I get, because it's like, I feel like that's supposed to be our response to, even if the things that they're being accused of are true things and horrible things, like that our response is out of love, and not out of like, okay, yeah, they messed up. They're human. And that's where I always go, because I think when we're judging, we're thinking of ourselves as higher than that person. And it's like, at the end of the day, sin is sin. Like, their crap is just as bad as my crap. So like, it's not different. Sin is sin. And why do I think my sin doesn't stink just as bad? Because it wasn't made public, because it wasn't casted through so everybody can read it. I don't know.
No, it's really good. And I always think, I think about Moses, because he straight up murdered someone,
Yep.
and the justice would have been his own life. And then the children of Israel literally would never even have the journey into the promised land. And so it's like, you cut out a someone's story too soon. The repercussions of that is huge. If you look backwards and you look at the people that God used, these are still the people that he still uses to this day.
Yeah.
He still uses messy people. He still uses. And I do want to say, like, loving someone through this, loving them is not agreeing with what they've done. It's not, and I want to say it's not downplaying it. Like, I think that a lot of people feel like if you're not harsh back to them, if you don't cut them out of your life, then you're just accepting, you're tolerative. And it's like, no, you can love someone and still not be for what they've done and love who they are becoming and who they are choosing to be every single day since then. If they are genuinely trying to turn a new leaf, if they're genuinely repentive, if they're genuinely regretful. And it's it's a hot topic for sure, because the rise right now is everyone wants to jump on that. Just like, nope, they're out. They've messed up. They failed. Send them on their way.
Yeah.
So what would be a situation in cancel culture that you would think personally would be unforgivable? Is there a situation that you think this person can do this, it's unforgivable, let's cancel them completely?
So I don't have one, because like I'm such a my brain is like such a storytelling brain. If you took, let's just say, some hypothetical, I want to use a pastor because that it fits in this hypothetical that my brain goes to always. And it's, if this pastor failed, cancel them, whatever. Cut out, like cut all of them, their sermons, everything, just like they can't do any good. They never did any good. That's because of their failure. They're gone. If I have a son one day and God forbid he turns away from God and somehow stumbles on this pastor's preaching and is what God used to pull him back, I can't say cancel that guy. Because what if he plays a big role in the future of my son's eternal life? Like, I can't get there for anyone. And I don't know. I don't know if that means like I'm just super tolerative. I don't know if it's because of my failures in my own life, because I have the perspective of that. And it's like, I haven't always been an amazing person every single day of my life. I have, got to stop my French, messed up probably more times than people even know. And it's like, I should be the first one out, you know? And like, this thing shouldn't even be going because of it. If I listen to the voice of the enemy, we never do this podcast because of the things that I failed on. And we have had so many people reach out and say, thank you for this episode. Thank you for what you guys talked about. I needed this. that would have never had it to hear. And so I don't have one. I don't think there is anything like the worst thing imaginable, because I think one of the worst things, if you were to put the worst thing imaginable up there, is murder, is taking another's life. And it's like, I mean, you can get into more than that, harming a child in any way. I mean, dude, you get into the and that's what Ruth was talking about, like the layers of sin. Mm-hmm. Like, this one's better than this one. At least they're not doing this. It's like you're splitting hairs that God never asked you to split, because he said lying is the same as murder. And we don't hold that, though. We're like, oh, at least you didn't kill anyone.
I think we classify sin different to make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
So that I didn't do this or that, I think we put the degree on our sin.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? I mean, do y'all have anything that you would think,
I was going to say, like, responsibilities obviously have to change, because you look at if somebody was delivering food to the homeless and they took I-45 every day, they're going from DFW to Corsicana, and they're bringing food to the homeless, and they ran this route every day, but they sucked at driving and they kept hitting people's cars. They ran over somebody's dog. They went through somebody's yard and hit a kid. Like, somebody has to take away their license.
Yeah.
Somebody has to say, the authorities have to say, you no longer are responsible enough to drive, but we love your heart that you have this passion for delivering food to the homeless, and we want you to still do that. But we need to figure out a different way for you to still fulfill your calling without you hurting people.
Yeah.
So then my question to cancel culture is, they say, we're freaking knocking out where you can't feed the homeless anymore. We don't even want you driving down I-40. We don't want to see you in Corsicana at all, because you hit that person and you ran over their dog and did all this stuff. So my question back to the people that do that put out videos or podcasts and stuff, and they call out people and their mistakes and stuff. And I'm like, you're hurting the homeless more than you're hurting that person that was driving down I-45. So why don't we come up with a creative way of saying, let's administer justice, because ultimately justice is God's. But we say, listen, we're going to be honest with you as your brothers and come to you and see that you're repentant and say, you don't need to be driving anymore because you're hurting people. But how can we help you deliver this food to the homeless and still fulfill the calling that God has placed inside your life? And we don't see that nowadays. Yeah. We see cut it off at the source. And then, like you said, your son in the future that hears something from a pastor, something that's really going to bless him, he never gets that because we cut it off at the beginning. And it does more detriment than it does good.
Yeah. I look at cancel culture as very fleshly, I don't know a lot of Christians or followers of the way. I guess that would probably be more appropriate, because Christian is, the term Christian is so overused. And
in the Bible Belt, yeah.
Yeah. In the Bible, that's true, in the Bible Belt, yeah. Because, anyways, I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole long story. But
put that can of worms right over here.
Yeah.
We'll
just
come
set
back
it
to that
there
in
for a little
different
bit.
Hit the bleep button. But followers of the way, like have that true relationship with Jesus. That I don't know that I really know anyone that can be a part of both, right? Because there's a difference between cancel culture and justice and mercy, but grace is most important for all that. And cancel culture is very reactionary. Yeah. And the only way that, being in the flesh is very reactionary. And so I think that those two things are synonymous for me. And the reason why I was asking that question is because I think about the thief on the cross. Everyone wrote that guy off. It's so far that he was hanging on a cross with Jesus. Like, that's one of the worst ways that you could ever die. And they did that. They did it to that guy. So, his sins had to have been great.
Yeah.
His actions had to have been great. And, I think of someone on death row today, like, there's a lot of Christians out there that would say that Jeffrey Dahmer, just as an example, is he? I think he's dead.
I think he's dead too.
I'm not going to Google it.
I don't know, but
Go ahead, pull that one up, dude.
Nope.
someone's going
I
to be
Google
listening
a lot
to
of
this and they're gonna be
things.
like,
I'm not touching that one because
I think
Google's
he
going to
is
be
dead.
like,
Yeah.
Daniel's a person of interest now.
But who, there was probably not too long ago, if I'm being honest, within the past few years, that I would have said, man, burn that guy alive. Like, he didn't deserve whatever. And then, but you stop and think, and who am I to say that? Who am I to say that Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't deserve grace when he does deserve grace? Just like the thief on the cross deserved grace. And I think that's how, or I guess I think that's why cancel culture is very fleshly. And it's not indicative of following the way. Because if you're following the way, we're not to... we do not, how much I'm trying to differentiate like judging by the fruits of the Spirit versus judging on salvation, because we cannot judge someone's salvation.
Right.
And I think that's where people can't separate, the oil and water. They try to mix it up. They're trying to mix it up. And it's like, well, the oil is God's salvation, and the water is what we can judge by the fruits of the Spirit. And we can try to mix it up as much as we want, but who are we to? We don't have any part of Jesus, God's judgment on our salvation, and so I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that I'm trying to like pick it apart in my brain.
For sure.
And there's a big difference there to me.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I do want to be clear. Like, I strongly do believe that there should be repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like, I just think we take it a little too far. I think that it's the lack of love. It's the lack of grace. It's the lack of...
I've got a question for you.
I got an answer.
I got a good question for you.
I mean, we don't have answers here, but yeah.
So following into that,
Yeah.
did the thief on the cross deserve grace to enter into the kingdom of heaven?
We don't deserve grace anytime, though. That's what grace
through
is.
the lens of God, did he deserve it? Because he asked, Jesus, right? He did, but did he also deserve to be on the cross?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You think, okay, well, where is that separation for? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking because before he asked, to be with Jesus, and Jesus said, "Today you will be with me in paradise."
Yeah.
Before that moment, did he deserve to be on the cross? And after that moment, did he deserve to be on the cross?
Yeah.
Right. But where's that separation of like earthly, we have to provide justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because and let me be very clear on this. I don't think that if you are a child abuser or a child molester or a murderer or, someone that like embezzles money from a company, I don't know, whatever the case may be, I don't think that you should just get away with that.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I don't think that you should get away with that. And I do think that there should be strong repercussions, but I struggle with that because it's like where, we are obviously God implemented kings and judges on earth. And so God allows us to carry out justice, but there's a big difference between carrying out justice versus like allowing someone to live in redemption. And I guess I don't know where that line is, because if someone's a murderer, how do you redeem that person to where they could like, because there's murderers that are off, they're free and they're walking around us today.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's heavy.
It is heavy.
I think that's a decision for, like what you said, God appoints judges and he appoints people that are in those positions. There's not I'm fully convinced of this, no matter what party you're a part of. And I encourage all of y'all, because November is coming up and it's good to go vote. But at the same time, God is the one who appoints the leaders inside of our life. He allowed our president, he allows people inside of our lives, and that goes judges all the way down to principals at schools and things like that. He's the one who strategically places people and allows people to be inside of power. So with that being said, it's good. It's almost like there's a relief taken off of me that I don't have to decide those things for murderers and people that have abused children. And I thank God for that, because God has placed wisdom inside those people's hearts for that specific task. Yeah. I'm thinking that, or advocating for, it's not my position to take the place of that judge that God has placed them in power, for me to say, you don't deserve to live, you deserve to have everything taken from you and all this other stuff. I'm commanded to love my neighbor as myself. I'm commanded to die to myself. I'm commanded to, like what you said today, to pray for my enemies, like all this stuff. I'm commanded to do those things, and God has commanded them, and God has given them extra wisdom to walk out whatever their season they're in.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something. You took a deep breath.
Oh, I was just
Maybe it's
breathing.
the revelation. You're like, oh, my husband.
Ruth is just full of wisdom.
She
really is. You ready to drop a bomb? In 3,
Drop it.
2, 1, bomb.
I don't have any bombs.
Oh my gosh, that was so good, bro! Why do we have bombs? You're right. We just disarm ourselves.
So good.
Wow, that was
Wisdom.
impactful.
You're so weird.
No, I love what you're saying, Daniel, because I think that you're right. I think that that's what
think
I'm
Sam-
not talking about the bomb.
Usually you're wrong, but
No, usually you're wrong. Yeah,
You're
usually,
terrible.
but today you're on something. No. I think that that's what rubs me the wrong way about cancel culture, is it is people putting themselves in the judge seat when they shouldn't be.
Yep.
And it's like, and that's it. There are people that are anointed to be in that role,
Yeah.
and to know when you're not, to stay out of it.
Yep.
Like I think that there's an abundance of wisdom on that, because yes, God's going to be the ultimate judge, right? So we have that, and we have people in place to be judges
Yep.
in our day-to-day life. Whether that is they are actually a judge in court making decisions for actual crimes, or it is people in my life that is able to speak into my life who have authority over me
Yeah.
that I submit to. If you're not, Tom Holland said this, and I love the way that he said it. He said, if you have a problem with me, call me. If you don't have my number, you don't know me enough to have a problem with me.
That's good. That's wisdom. Right
And
there.
I'm like, that is genius,
Yeah.
because we put so much authority on people that do not have authority in our lives. And that's where like the cancel culture becomes a mob.
Yeah.
And like when people feel anonymous in a mob, they turn violent and they turn brutal, just because it's like, we're all in this together. Let's kill them.
By the way, there's a lot of 12-year-olds in that mob too on TikTok, you know?
Dude,
Just saying.
yes. A lot of emotionally high
14-year-old, yeah.
things going on. And at the
Daniel.
same time, Daniel's in there.
I get them riled up. Be like, let's turn up, pitchforks and all. Bang, bang, bang. They get out there. What are we doing here? I don't know. We're killing somebody.
I'm going to make a statement like that.
Do that.
I'm going to change my phone number, and I'm going to say, if you've got a problem with me, call me.
To my number. You'd be like, what the heck? My phone keeps going off.
I'm going to forward my phone number to
You're a
your number.
loser. I'm like, okay. God loves you. It would be like somebody coming up. What if somebody came up to Micaiah and just like whipped her with a belt? I was like, hey, you weren't doing a good enough job the way that you were discerning correction for your daughter and the things that she said. And so I just decided to take it in my own hands, and I whipped her. You want to see a mother bear come out? Imagine the mother heart of God.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that enough.
Yep.
El Shaddai. Imagine cancel culture coming up to El Shaddai's children and saying, you're not good enough. and what you said and what you did is worthy of death, and we're canceling you and taking you out. How?
I think a lot of the cancel culture comes from like religion.
Mm.
Oh, Ruth. Let me move my toes. It's about to get real.
No, it just is like that's a lot of people have been hurt by church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And because they've been canceled, because their sin is too big, or the things that they're in are too big. And it's that, like, and growing up, I felt the same thing of like, you have to believe the same thing as me.
Yeah.
And there's no room if you don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't believe what I believe, then I can't be a part of what yours is. There's not that, and I guess I think it came out of fear.
Yeah.
I know for me it did, because I was like, I don't want to be swayed. I don't want to be persuaded into another way of thinking. So you have to think like me, be like me. There's no room for like understanding of why they think that way.
Yeah.
I'm a big person on, that's why I probably like documentaries and like things about people that it goes into like their history. You like, cause we get to see like actions in like little time frames, but there's a whole reason why that happened and why this is going on right now, because of, let's look back here, or here. I always take Michael Jackson for one.
I was just about to say that.
I love Michael Jackson. I love because you look at the end of his life and how crazy and the things that he was doing, and people are just like, what, where's Michael Jackson wearing things, covering himself, like all those things. But well, if you watch his story back, he explains exactly why he's doing what he's doing. And it's just like people take those little moments and judge them on it when you don't understand or see everything else that's gone on inside their lives. And I feel like for religion, that's been, oh, you have to think like us. You have to do this like us, or you're not a part. You can't be a part. Sorry, I forgot. You can't be a part. And I hate that spirit that's wanting to cancel people out of the church, or you're not good enough, or you're not this, or you're not that.
Yeah.
And I think that with religion like that, and I understand there are certain things like you can't be different on, like what do they call it? The absolutes. What do you call them?
I don't know.
Absolute sounds like the right one.
The absolutes, like you can't waver on these things, but there's other versions of what you think God was talking about in this scripture, or what I was thinking. Like we don't know the certainties. Is that what they call them?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't know what you're telling
You
me.
always tell that to people. Like you can.
Oh yeah, the absolute certainties.
No, you're like, I can't remember what it's called. You always say like there's this one thing, like this is the way, but you can think differently on other things. But there's this one.
Well, I mean, an
it's
example of that would probably be like, obviously, Yahweh is the one true God.
Yeah.
But I have met people that say, okay, Yahweh is a God, but also Muhammad is a God and Buddha is a God, but that's an absolute. Like Yahweh is God, Buddha is not a God, Muhammad is not a God.
Yeah.
There's
about
I was just gonna say, like, there's a whole movement of like Jesus not being the only way into heaven, and that's not
an absolute. The Apostles' Creed.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
I love
The
Rocky
Apostles'
III.
Creed is it's
Can you talk about that a little more, Daniel?
The Apostles' Creed is a creed that says we believe in God the Father, and He's the almighty maker of heaven and earth. We believe in Jesus being His only begotten Son that was crucified, dead, and buried, and was raised again on the third day. And then I don't know all the other stuff, but it's like the cornerstone of our faith, these absolute things that you have to believe, that there is no unwavering stuff. And then there's other things that are just like, some people still don't eat pork.
It's not a salvation issue.
Not a salvation issue.
Right. But people have been canceled or pushed out religion-wise because of those things, like not believing word for word. This is what, and there's stupid things like that, and things that maybe they're confused in the moment. Maybe something's going on. Like instead of loving them, finding out where they're at, going to where they're at, they just cancel and like, nope, you can't be a part. Why are you smiling?
Because I want to say something, but it might be something that we take out.
Oh, say it. We
No.
can always
But I
take it out.
don't know.
Get that beep ready
Because someone recently left a comment on one of the clips that we put out.
from
Yeah.
Sweden.
I saw
Where
it.
we talked
It was
about
not from Sweden.
It
Okay.
was not from Sweden.
I was about to say, it's about to get real.
I know.
And it was because we talked about The Chosen.
I saw that.
And they made the statement of The Chosen isn't a good show because it was created by Muslims and Mormons. And they add to the Bible, and so it's not a good show. And I was like,
They're right. It's not a good show. It is a phenomenal show. I was about to spell phenomenal, and I realized I can't spell phenomenal. It is phenomenal with a capital P. You know why? Oh, you're about to get me riled up because I got off socials because of this.
I know. Dude, I had written so many replies and I had to just delete them because I'm like, this isn't going to help. This isn't going to help. Which is why I'm like, I'm debating on do I leave this in here or not because
Gosh.
it is like that show about Jesus is not a good show. Is wild to me.
If it turns one person
Yeah.
to the gospel, it's worth everything that Dallas Jenkins has done on that show.
Yes.
End quote. Daniel Hennessy. And you're right. It is not a good show. It's phenomenal because it gives glory to God, not to man.
Did you not know about that comment?
I didn't know about it, and now I'm fired up.
It was on
We're
TikTok.
switching the
It was on
episode
TikTok.
from cancel culture to canceling you.
Here's Daniel's flesh.
I'm teasing. That was my flesh. You're not canceled. You're allowed back into the chat.
Hard time though because I have those feelings that come up, you know, and it's like, no, like what you're gonna sit here and tell me like some other show's a good show that has nothing to do with Jesus, and it's
Yeah.
like you're gonna watch that, but like because this is a religious thing,
You're gonna watch Game of Thrones
right, and say like that's a
and
good
watch
show.
about dragons, but you're not gonna.
but because they
I need to.
because they take
I'm gonna go to the
I know.
bathroom now.
Right? You need to take a breather.
Switch it off. Let's check this out. Whatever.
no, but because it's like you didn't, and that's never mind. It because there's certain levels of fiction that's added to it, they cancel it.
Historically accurate fiction.
Yes, and it's like I can take a good storyline whether it happened or not.
Yeah.
I almost just like said a complete spoiler, but I'm gonna be kind to our people who are behind in The Chosen because
Our
I used to be
chosers.
one of you for years. Our choseners,
Yeah. Whatever their
our
followings are.
chards,
Charizards.
Chazards,
Started calling them Charizards.
chards.
That's even better.
Oh man,
Do we have to add like a TM at the end of that or something when we say it?
a little disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like to get back on the serious note, it's like if we okay, so this is what I'm also aware of. And I will look at the downside of what I believe and what I feel. I am very susceptible to what's the movie with Robin Williams?
Flubber.
Where he's the doctor.
I wonder why that was
Patch
the
Adams.
first movie that I
Patch
went to with Robin Williams.
Flubber's your
I
first, your go-to.
love
I was thinking Miss Doubtfire.
Flubber.
It's not. I am susceptible to Patch Adamsing myself, which, if you know the movie, he wants to help everyone. He wants to help all these people. And there's one man that's like proven to not be trustworthy. And because of that, if you haven't seen Patch Adams, I'm spoiling it right now for you. His wife gets killed. And it's like I've had to take a look in my own life because I am so quick to give grace, quick to give mercy, quick to say I accept you and I love you and I have space for you, that it can hurt the ones I love.
Yes.
And so I want to acknowledge that you can still love and accept someone who has failed and someone who has potentially hurt someone else, and not put yourself in, or anyone that you love, in the way of harm. You can still have boundaries, but to love them is still an option through it. Like, even though you have boundaries, because I'm saying don't be unwise and don't think that to love someone means that I have to put myself in a position to get hurt by them or get whatever. And it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Because that's so good. On this, as you were saying that, though, I also thought of another example placed in front of us, and that was Flubber. He put that in the engine of the car, and it put him in danger. No, back to serious now. You look at Jesus and Judas, and he knew what Judas was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He knew that he was going to betray him, to the point that he told him, he said, go and do what you're going to do. Like, he looks at his friend, follower, disciple, but also a brother, walking with him for what, 3-something years or more?
Yeah.
I mean, he, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, somebody that he also like formed, somebody that he also made. And
he put him in that role.
Oh, we can't do this anymore. My brain can't talk about it.
No, like, think about that though.
And he didn't cancel
knowing what was going to be like that, he was going to value gold, silver, money above. He still put him in the role to be responsible for the money.
Yes. So that, like, I 100% agree with you. So don't take that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm like, I'm hearing what you're saying. And I'm like, where is that line? Does that where wisdom and revelation comes in from Holy Spirit? Because you're like, you do not put yourself in a position where you're going to be abused. Don't put yourself in a situation where it's going to put yourself in harm. But then I'm looking, but in addition to that, also look at the example of Jesus, where it was to his demise. He placed somebody there and gave him chance after chance after chance, an opportunity.
The difference that comes up for me as soon as you said that.
Go for it.
Jesus knew what needed to be done. He knew he needed to die.
That's good.
He came here to die. So, unless the Lord has given you an absolute, without a doubt, do this, I would say don't. And that's the difference.
That's good wisdom.
Well, you have to be able to differentiate that as well. And how many times do we say, God, I feel like God's telling me this, but it's really just our emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anyways, I'm just saying, because as far as like people being in a relationship that they shouldn't be in, abuse, whatever.
Yeah.
No. I mean, you have to remove yourself from a situation like that.
Yes.
The problem can be fixed.
Can you say that one more time louder?
You have to remove yourself from that situation. The problem can be fixed, but you can't just like wait it out. And that can be redeemed, but sometimes you have to separate yourself.
Yeah.
Work on yourself, and then you can get back in that situation. And you dip your toes in the water, right? And so, anyways.
With wise counsel.
Yes. Not TikTok, not Facebook, not
Your
Instagram.
group of
Yeah,
friends
here's
that are
the
going
thing.
to tickle your ear.
Yeah.
I don't know. In culture today, are we being counseled? Do we allow for counselship?
Define counsel.
Like, I
Because
don't know if we have
wise
people that are
counsel.
are speaking into our lives. Now there are people that you don't even know that you're letting speak into your lives. But like, mentorships aren't a normalized thing in our society right now. Like, we don't have people that are actively looking for wise counsel. They're more times than not going off of feelings. They're more times than not going off of well, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't make me happy. Like I deserve happiness. And so I'm going to chase that at my demise.
Yeah. It makes me think about what Matt said, on the God Squad episode, about you have to surround yourself with people that you love, that love you, and that you trust and that trust you, and that are going to give you wise counsel, like Ruth said, biblical counsel, not emotional counsel, not someone that's going to fly off the handle. Because I heard this analogy one time. It was a marriage thing, because I feel like that's a big deal, where if you have issues in your marriage, and you have a friend, just as an example, that is not married or has been divorced and hated her husband, and you have issues with your husband and you go talk to her, you think she's going to give you any kind of like a real biblical, she's going to spew hatred because she wants you to feel the way that she feels. And so you have to be very careful with who you listen to and how you listen to it. And a lot of time, this is where people, I rub people the wrong way a lot of times, most of the time, because whenever I try to give people counsel, it comes off as like very to the point, like a sharp edge. And it's because, it's like, well, you just try to tell people what they really need to hear, not what they want to hear. And people, they want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what you want them to tell them, or they want to hear what they want to hear. They want to hear you tell them what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear.
Yes.
And that we have to be offensive enough, and I say that like very boldly. We have to be very offensive enough to be offensive to people, to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Right. And you don't have to be rude to people. You don't have to say like, hey, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. You're doing this wrong. But if you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be in, sometimes you have to, I don't know, don't like go telling people your opinion on it. But if they ask, okay, well, are you sure you want to hear my opinion of it? Are you sure? Because I'll tell you, but you're not going to like it. And that goes with friendships. That goes with work colleagues. I mean, that goes with family. There's a lot that goes into that. You can go as deep or as shallow as you want to on that, but you have to be bold enough to tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
That is a virtue that is so lost, because people surround themselves with the yes men. They surround themselves with the people that will refuse to tell them no because of it feels, I like the people that support me. And it's like, that's not true support if they're only just telling you yes in every single idea that you have. That is where, we're not going to say names. Never mind. That's where certain narcissistic celebrities, where I would say that it's not entirely their fault that they behave the way that they behave. It's they are now a victim to the situation around them that they have built of nobody's going to tell them no. And when you have nobody going around telling you no, you think that you are the top dog. You think that you can't do wrong. And then you end up in just the most ridiculous situations. But
can we not say celebrity names?
I mean, we can.
Very specific example.
We can. I mean,
Taylor
mine was
Swift, so I don't know.
Hey,
Oh my God.
said celebrities.
That's not who I
like
was thinking.
she's a goddess.
Oh my gosh.
To some.
Oh my goodness.
Daniel loves Taylor Swift. He cannot wait to talk about her.
Now, Post Malone surrounds himself with good counsel. All my posties out there, he
my
listens
gosh.
right up. The scripture, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, is what comes to mind when you are talking about that, because we have a culture nowadays that they're wanting to be something other than iron in somebody's life, when really you really need iron inside your life. Just like even today, I keep going back to Casey because we had a conversation before I had a meeting today, and it was good what you said, because even though I didn't want to hear part of it, I really like the good part when you're being fluffy and being like, I'm going to pray for you. But then there's other parts I was like, you're right, Casey. And that was that iron scraping against me to make me sharper to go into the situation that God was calling me to. And had he been just fluffy piece of wood out there, then I just would have cut through Casey and be like, all right, I'm going to go into the situation with a dual blade. That made no sense. But he wasn't, and we are missing that aspect. I would say, putting the challenge out for guys, I would say that's more prevalent in men than it is in women's circles. And you could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think guys are missing nowadays more of that iron attitude and trying to be the yes men. But women, it seems like y'all have a better way of communicating. Maybe it's the communication guys have with one another, that we don't want to hurt somebody, or we're like just trying to build each other up, that we think we need to take out the iron completely. And I think women do a lot better at talking that stuff through, or no? Or do you think it's the same way?
I think it's the same way for a lot. I know, again, I can only speak on myself. For me, I only have very limited people that hold that role inside of my life. Like, that's a relationship that's been there for a long time. Mm-hmm. A lot of life circumstances that I've walked through this person with. Like, I'm not just giving that to anybody inside of my life. So I feel like, it is only in the last 10 years that I've wanted that. If it's been a place, because a lot of times for me, I don't do criticism, and it's not criticism. I take it as criticism because they're like going against what I'm thinking or saying or doing. And so then I'm like, oh, then it makes me second guess myself. And then so then I go down a spiral. Does that make sense? So a lot of times in my earlier years, I wanted people that were going to think the same, do the same, like, yes, yeah, those people that you're talking about, those yes people that are like being your cheerleader, but they're never challenging you. They're never like, why are you doing that? Or questioning anything. Like, it was just like, yes, yes, yes. And so, and I feel like that's like a maturity level that you have to get to, because,
and a self-awareness, because also with your Enneagram type, she's the one that takes criticism, or just even somebody giving constructive criticism is detrimental to who she is as a person, like your identity. Mm-hmm. And we have to get over that as a culture of being like, okay, my Enneagram or whatever thing you receive correction in or any kind of sharpening, we have to take that in a positive way.
May I offer insight to that? Mm-hmm. So I'm very much the same way. And what I've learned about myself is because I care so much that I pour myself into, like, I can, let's take editing for an example. I can pour myself into an edit. So then if someone comes back and they're like, oh, I would change this, this, and this, I take that as personal rejection. And so I'm curious if that is what comes up for you when someone criticizes anything that you're working on. Do you take it as you are criticizing me personally now?
It used to, yes.
And so, yeah,
if I specifically with decorating, like I used to decorate for parties and do all that kinds of stuff. And I had this one person that always pointed out what I didn't do. And I was just like, it hurt me because I was like, they never pointed out what I did do. Right. It was always the negative. And so like, that was like, okay. So it was like a repetitive thing. So then I took that as like, okay, that was towards me. Yeah. I think I've done better. You can speak to that.
Are you saying I'm the one that criticized you?
No.
I think your decorating is amazing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm taking, like, I'm in a better phase with that. I don't take it as personal with criticism now, because also I think I've learned more of who I am.
Yeah.
And it's not based on what people feel or think about me. Yeah. And that's somewhere I've had to come into, because I was like, I so wanted to be liked, wanted to be loved, wanted all of that. So then I took it personal whenever anything was criticized in that area. I think I've done better. Like I'm more at a place like love me or hate me. Like this is who I am, and it's okay, and I can be different, and that's okay. Does that make sense?
That's a maturity level in you, though, as well. And that's what we're supposed to be striving for, is to have that mind of Christ where we know what our identity is, where people can speak into us. Not that people need to speak into Jesus' life, but y'all are hearing what I'm saying. Like having that identity of, I am Daniel Hennessy, son of God, and I am also being sanctified and working toward these things. And so whatever you have to say for me, I'm going to receive it.
So I think about like okay, 3 things.
Oh, man.
3 things.
Go for
baby.
it.
3 things, baby. All right. So number 1, I'll start with, before I forget, about calling you today.
Yeah.
So I almost didn't call you, like I always do. I never call, right? I never call. I never do. Whenever I have something,
It's
I
like
feel
the
like
moments I need it to.
Yeah, so every time I never.
About to like jump off a cliff. I should have. I got to call.
I'm never obedient in that, but I'm trying to get better in that. And so I almost didn't call you because I know how you feel about the situation, and I know that there's nothing that I can do to fix the situation. And so the only thing I can do is offer words, right? And experience, because I've been there, done that. And I think that's important too. If you've gone through something, you can, give life. And so, not to get into too much detail, but I almost didn't call you today. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And so, I say that because I was trying to be obedient, but I was also trying not to be offensive. And so I'm glad that you received that. I know it wasn't easy to hear, but I'm glad that you received that. And then number 2, talking about both of y'all situations, like your editing and your decorating, it's important on who it comes from. Mm-hmm. Because who's the best editor you know? I don't even know any editors. Post Malone. So if Post Malone was giving you editing skills, you would probably be all ears.
Yeah.
But if I were giving,
I'm sure I can.
okay, who's the best editor you know?
I mean,
Besides myself.
personally,
Call him out so he can come on the show. Or she.
Yeah,
Get ready.
I mean, personally, or they could be a famous editor or whatever.
Steven Spielberg.
oh, I know it's the guy that did Baby Driver, but I can't remember. I know his name, but I don't know it right now.
John Gold.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the guy that edited Baby Driver, if he were criticizing, you'd probably be all right. As a matter of fact, you would probably pay good money
Yes.
To be criticized.
to be criticized
Yes.
by that guy.
Yes.
So you wouldn't be you wouldn't be offended by his words.
Hands down.
If I were criticizing your editing, I have no earthly idea what I'm doing with editing, and so it would make 0 sense for me to be like, "Hey Sam, by the way, your editing needs to change here, here, and here."
Yeah.
And so not only would you not pay me
Yeah.
to criticize your editing, you would not want to listen to it, and you'd be offended because I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing. I think about. I was trying to think in my head like the HGTV shows. By the way, whenever you get to be about the age of 25,
Fixer Upper.
26, guys, if you're watching this, HGTV is really good. So, but Jessica, I remember on our honeymoon. I'm serious, this is a true story. On our
Shout
honeymoon,
out, Jessica.
yeah, my wife, she turned on HGTV in the hotel room, and I was like, "Turn this off." And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, I can do that to my house.
Bust out a wall.
Yeah. And so it ended up being a really expensive, so we don't watch that anymore. But I think about the twin brothers that are on that show or the channel. What are their names?
I don't remember their names. I know who you're talking
John
about.
and Kate.
The Real Estate Brothers.
Not,
No, they're
Mosaic.
2 guys.
I have no idea.
I think
can't
one of them's
remember.
name is Jonathan.
I think it is.
Yeah.
So I'm telling y'all.
Yeah. But if Jonathan were to criticize you'd probably be like, all right, awesome. But if Daniel were to,
Yeah, she doesn't listen to me.
I'm just saying, that's where discernment comes in from,
Yeah.
right? And so we have to be spiritually mature enough to be able to discern from the I guess the lessons that people are trying to tell us in our life.
Yeah.
If I called you today and I didn't tell you what I told you, but I was like, you know what, Daniel, you have every right to go in there and be angry, whatever. It wouldn't be justified. I mean, that wouldn't be a life-giving conversation. It would be a justice-filled conversation, a fleshly conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you would probably be like, yeah, you're right, because that feels good. Like hearing what you want to hear feels good, but hearing what you don't want to hear, most of the time, if there's some kind of offense to it, or like, I get that out of here. I don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fighting against your flesh.
Yeah.
And so that's important to note, like in those situations, right? Yeah. And third, Robert Patterson really is playing Batman.
Yes. You haven't seen the Batman?
No, I've never watched any Batmans.
It's terrible.
Actually,
It's along the same lines.
I'm really curious now. Are you not like a superhero type person? Like,
He's
you don't
a
like
Twilight fan, man.
only Twilight, baby. Only Twilight.
Then you would love the new Batman.
No, I want to say that the only thing that I've ever watched superhero wise,
Home video of me.
besides home videos of Daniel, and I'll put that up against anything.
That's not just like a random thing. He really did make a Superman video one time. So
By the way, real quick,
your
let's
wife
go-
was in it.
That doesn't surprise me.
You haven't seen it?
No, I have not seen it.
We had to
I don't
find
watch
that
anything
video.
superhero. If Daniel made it, I'm not watching. I'm just kidding. No, I'll watch it. Hey, quick plug. You remember that music video that you made for Ruth?
Okay. We're talking about
How do we find that on
cancel
YouTube?
culture.
I got it on
Canceling that out.
DVD.
Can you upload that to YouTube?
How did we turn this conversation so fast?
I don't know.
I
My
do.
brain goes that way, Daniel.
I still get butterflies when I see that music video, though.
Yeah, so screw you.
You're welcome. I was trying to help your marriage.
Whatever. You're trying to get me canceled.
It was young teenage love.
You remember that young puppy love? Watching AGTV for your wife?
That channel gets really expensive. It does.
It does.
Oh, I want to speak into you though because of the dynamic that you're talking about between your conversations, which I don't know like the details of your guys' conversation at all. I'm just offended that I wasn't a part of it, but it's okay. No,
I tried to
just
call you.
kidding.
Daniel was like, "Oh my gosh."
It was about murdering you, and he said not to
yeah.
do it. Okay, so
Oh,
you know,
so
that's the
you
context.
shouldn't have listened to that. No. the and this is one of the things that I wanted to say, and I derailed myself with so many things. It happens often. But your willingness to be that sharp, iron sharpens iron, that is a thing that I value in friendships, like because it's so rare. The second thing, which is what I want to encourage you in, is I would reframe it in your mind to just where you're saying like, I don't want to offend. I would reframe it to I agitate. And agitation isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's a needed thing. If you were to take sugar and flour and put them together in a bowl, but you didn't agitate it by stirring, they would never mix. They would never become cohesive. And so you are agitating someone, but it's purposed agitation so that they become cohesive in who they are. And so that's where you can kind of strengthen yourself in it and be like, this is a hard thing to hear, and it might be a hard thing to swallow, and it's going to shake you, but it's a good shaking that's going to agitate because I know this is something that can that is a strength in you. This is a place where you can grow, and you're really good at seeing that. And so I just want to encourage you in that and say like, and then the second thing is where you said you never do this, you always don't call or whatever. You did call. You did call. And so it's not true that you never do. And so like you're stepping into it now, you're starting to own it. You're aware now that there's a default to not, but you've actively pushed effort into this is important, and this is when I have these feelings. You're aware now when I have these feelings, I know that they're not just whim. I know that they're not just like nonsense. I've seen that the Lord speaks to me about certain things in people's lives, and I need to step into doing that. And you're doing a good job of that. And I missed a call from you the other day, and I feel guilty.
Dude, I had to get a word for you too, man.
Oh man!
No, I'm just kidding. I was just calling to check on you.
See, I appreciate that.
But
I was painting at Ruth's shop.
yeah. Well, I decided to be obedient because I'm so tired of getting yelled at by Daniel.
He yells constantly off camera.
Show him on camera real quick.
He's an agitator.
Look at him. He's so mad.
He's stewing. He's gonna go rip a new one to the chosen guy.
I'm still thinking about him, bro. You wait till I get in those comments later.
No, hey, I need y'all to help me with something now that
Yes.
we're on this. Okay, so
Oh man. I don't
We
know
don't
when
do
to take you
answers.
serious. Is this serious, Casey?
no, this is serious.
Okay.
So approaching people with that, like
Yeah.
obviously like the conversation today, one of the reasons why I don't do that is because I know that I'm very straight to the point. And okay, so the way that my brain works is I'm very literal, and so that's why I would have been a terrible disciple, because of all the parables that Jesus speaks in, I'd be like, hey, Jesus, by the way, I'd been Matthew, so we
Cut my left arm
we
off.
couldn't have two Matthews in the group. I'd have been Matthew. And so I'm very literal. Like I want people to speak into me, but I want people to be direct about it. Yeah. And so that's why I'm so direct whenever I'm talking to people. And so is that something, I guess, speaking for me, but also like everyone else that's like me, because you want to be agitating, or I guess you want to agitate the situation to stir it up. But how do you do that in a way to where you can both offend, but I don't even know how I'm trying to ask this.
I got you.
How can you offend, but also like
walk
away from the conversation without the person being offended by you? You know, does that make sense?
The greatest tool I have found in this is to, when you see something, like if Daniel's saying something and I pick up on either something that he said that was false, or like what just happened with you, like saying that you never do this, and I was like, oh, but you did call, so that's not true. And I didn't do this with you, so it's not a good example. But I did it with Ruth. Okay, so Ruth was talking just a few moments ago, and I said, can I offer you insight? Asking permission to agitate is not a bad thing. Then it puts it in their court.
That's a good idea. Wow.
If they can't receive it, they can say no, thank you.
Okay.
And then you're relieved from I tried. Like it was not because I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Being able to say, can I offer you XYZ is 100% acceptable. And you don't need a prompt from them. Like, because I was going to say they have to be in a place to receive it. But a lot of people, they don't ask for the things that they actually need. So, and you're really good at seeing what they need without them being aware of it. And so I would encourage you to be able to just step forward and say, can I offer you this?
Yeah.
And not say like, can I offer you, and go into the thing. Just tell them, I have a different perspective. It might be hard to hear. Can I offer you feedback? Can I offer you insight? Whatever that is.
That's really good. And I need to start doing that. I guess one of the reasons why I don't do that is because, like, just for Daniel as an example, because I look at you as a brother. I mean, you're my brother. And so I just think, okay, well, I can talk to my brother about anything, right? Mm-hmm. And my close friends, or whatever, my wife.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So I need to start asking my wife.
Well, you have the relational equity.
Yeah.
That's what it
exactly.
is like, you have space from me to completely call me out on anything. Like and Daniel extends that space already to you. That's a known thing. I'm encouraging you and the people that you don't know that well, when you do see it, because I do sense that you have insight in people's lives that, like, you're like, I don't know them that well, so I'm not going to say anything. And that's when you're like, hey, can I offer you this? And then they have the choice of whether or not they take it or not.
That's good. But The only problem with that is that you say this show has no answers, and that was a good answer. That was a really good answer.
That answer does not come from me. That comes from therapy that I've done and my process group therapy that I'm in, where we literally every day start off by that exercise. People saying their story, what they're going through that week, and we say, "Can I offer you this?" And they say yes or no, and they can say no, and that's okay.
That's what Ruth does.
Because I'd rather
No,
not.
Daniel, I don't want to listen to you right now. Okay.
Well, I'd rather someone tell me no, I don't want to receive feedback from you, versus me just spilling my whole feedback for like the next 20 minutes and them not take a single thing from it.
Yeah.
Unsolicited advice is never taken. Mm-hmm. We're just sitting on Ruth and Daniel right now. They're just like,
I'm dying
I'm
over
watching
here.
Casey.
I'm
Casey's
dying.
choke on something.
I'm dying.
Is that your water?
It is my water. They tried to kill me.
Oh, okay. That's the source. I was going to offer you. You want to drown some more?
Can I offer you some insight, Casey? Yes. Learn to freaking drink from a bottle.
That happened to me in the car with Ruth the other day. I literally took the smallest sip and it almost killed me. I'm just going to drown on a little drink of water.
That was an adventure.
Do you guys have anything? How do you feel?
I feel really good. Except for Casey ripping me a new one today. It was really good. No, I'm just playing.
Daniel, can I offer you some insight?
No, you may not. No, I don't have anything else except that I love my wife. I want to say that on every episode.
Ruth? This is a family show. Can you not put that finger up?
Sorry.
We can't bleep that one out.
No, I'm going to have to go in and blur it. She's added a lot more work for me.
Sorry. I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
I don't have anything else.
All right, well. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us this evening. We do our live premieres, like I said at the beginning of this episode, on Sundays at 6 p.m. Some people don't know this. Some people don't know that we're on YouTube. They're listening to us the whole time, and they don't know. Because
could be watching us.
Jane Paris came up to me the other day and was like, "Hey, I didn't know you guys were on YouTube." And then you made a statement about like what you're wearing, and she was like, "I'm listening. I don't like. We won't know what you're wearing." It's like, oh. And then she said she found the YouTube. So
Where is she
I'm
watching
telling
it?
y'all.
Where was she watching it?
She was listening on because we're on Apple Podcasts, and actually we're on every podcast platform. So Spotify, you can actually watch on it as well. Apple's, I don't think you can. And then there's like Castbox and all. There's a whole bunch of platforms we're on. So there's no excuse to not watch this. No. But YouTube is where like we do our premieres. And so every Sunday at 6 p.m. you can join the live chat. We are in the live chats talking to you guys and interacting and cracking jokes and building relationships and building community, which is what we want to do with our Mosers and our Shards. And so
Our Moshis.
our Moshis and our, what was our Chards? Our Charizards?
Charizards.
Charizards.
And Crumpers.
And Crumpers. Our Crumpers. That's from the lost episode, the lost muted episode. That, I don't know why I was just sitting on Ruth's camera for a while. Guys, my hands are not on their game today, so you guys have had some fun angles this episode. Until next time.